Sacred Books of the Buddhist translated by various Oriental scholars, edited by F. Max Mueller. The Sacred Books of the Buddhists was published in 1899 under the patronage of His Majesty King CHULALANKARANA, King of SIAM, Volume 11. It was reprinted in 1956. Dialogues of the Buddha, translated from the Pali, which is a Pali, P is Pali. And as a student, I've studied religion now, Christian religion. My name is Ethenia Scott, and I've studied Christian religion since 2013. And this is my first additional study of a different religion than Christianity. This is my first time studying Buddhism. So I've become a scholar of interfaith. And also I plan to travel and walk up to the top of the Buddha where the shrine is. So the contents of the book, the preface include note on the probable age of the dialogues, note on this version, abbreviations. We have Gala Sutanta Samana, there's Fa'ala Sutanta, you have Abata Sutanta, and you have Solon Anda Sutanta, then you have Kutanta Sutanta, then you have Mahali Sutanta, then you have Galiva Sutanta, then you have Kazafa Sihanda Nada Sutanta, then you have Pada Sutanta, then you have Sabha Sutanta, then you have Kavada Sutanta, you have Lohika Sutanta, you have Tiviga Sutanta. Those are the dialogues of the Buddha. And so it says, note on the preface begins with a note on the probable age of the dialogues. The dialogues of the Buddha constituting in the Pali text, the Dihag, and the Makima Nikaish contain a full exposition of what the early Buddhists considered the teaching of the Buddha to have been. So, in the constituted in the Pali text, you have the Digha, Dihag, then the Maggima, Mahaki, Nikayas, Nikash. And they have dialects over the top of some of the letters. Incidentally, they contain a large number of references to the social, political, and religious condition of India, At the time when they were put together, we do not know for certain what that time exactly was, but every day is adding to the number of facts on which an approximate estimate of the date may be based. I always thought that Buddha came from China or this little place like Thailand or Thai, in the mountains. I did not know that it was a religion of India at the time. But it says, incidentally, they contain a large number of references to the social, political, and religious condition of India. So it talked about India, but is it based in India? But every day is adding to the number of facts on which an approximate estimate of the date may be based. So we had one person visit in, so maybe we will not have any, but I'll live stream until I get better at it, commentating some background, pretty background, fireplaces and different fireplaces and things like that to where the it's beautiful. It's not just walls. It's not just something to look at. I know at first I was nervous, but I review it and it's a learning because the Buddha is one of the most sacred people of any faith or religion. They have a lot of structure and a lot of ethic, a lot of mental strength that people the world look at. So especially here, I always thought that it was one Buddha and many Buddhas. So like the main Buddha who travels the world and talks, he now visit the universities and especially locally Emory. He visit different locations of the world. They were housed in Georgia for a small bit of time. Our church, which is a Christian church, Peace Baptist, and I haven't been there in like a few years since mother died. She would attend. We attend since you know we first relocated to Georgia, and so before we started university life, so this one guy he was like, you need to research the words. It's important to understand. It's important to research the words, not just read and don't have understanding. So, and our next paragraph goes the preface. In the first place, the numerous details and comparative tables given in the introduction to my translation of the Melinda show without a doubt that particularly the whole of folly, the folly, the folly, is it saying PH folly, Fitacus. So it's PA with a dialect over the top, PI slanted TAKS. And I would need a special linguist that can, someone that can teach me exactly what is coming out the language that's coming out my mouth. Like how to enunciate the T, how to enunciate the letter T that's slanted. It's slanted over. It's not just a regular T. It's not just a regular T. It's a slanted T. It's a lowercase T that's shifted up. It's shifted a little bit. So again, the spelling is PA dialect LIPI slanted TAKAS. More known and regarded as final authority At the time and place when that work was composed, the geographical details given on PP and give page numbers tend to show that the work was composed in the extreme northwest of India. So it's lowercase p's, punctuation mark, period, then the Greek letter X, lowercase Greek letter L, lowercase three I's, then a comma, then a Greek letter X, the Greek letter L, lowercase, Greek letter I, Greek letter V, all lowercase. And then it shows, it says composed in the extreme northwest of India. So it gives those what look like page numbers or something. It's actually land geographical details of India. The north it describes and pinpoints the location in India, northwest of India. There are two Chinese works, translations of Indian books, taken to China from the north of India, which contain in different recessions the introduction and the opening chapters of the Melinda. For the reason adduced local citato, it is evident that the work must have been composed at or about the time of the Christian era. Then, whether as M. Sullivan Levi thinks, it is an enlarged work built up on the foundation of the Indian original of the Chinese books, or whether, as I am inclined to think, that original is derived from our Melinda. There is still one conclusion that must be drawn. The Nikas, which is spelled Nikayas, nearly if not quite as we know, have them in the PALI with the accent over the A, were known at a very early date in the north of India. Then again, the Kata Vatuhu, according to the views prevalent at the end of the 4th century AD. Now I'm reading this about India having Buddha. I just read on the news that India is there. Some the watchdogs of religion have written to Joe Biden. They've been asking Joe Biden, which that India have been notorious in religion against, I guess, minorities, and so it's odd. I rarely keep up to date with religious information and updates, but I guess it's important because before it was so many deaths, I kept reading and people were just dying and being murdered. Like, oh my God. So I was thinking like Buddha is like an energy book, We the energy, So it's been like we find our energy source. We sit and we meditate. We find our inner strength. We see and we seek and we don't just use a this bone here not to do anything, to protect and assist our own life and loved ones that are the most dear, for me personally, my children. So it's really important, and you got that So, so it's really important. So we meditate and we pray and we pray and we meditate and we have all the inner beings. We don't mix and mesh. Mexico study Mexican religion, United States Christianity. I, Italy, Italian. The Rome Catholic, Russia. They have these special churches, synagogues. They special religions. So I'm trying to study and learn about all of it. But I know, for me personally, faith, meditation, reading for knowledge, understanding and wisdom, knowledge and understanding, knowledge and wisdom. There's a correct order of understanding, knowledge, and wisdom. Understanding. We got to understand what we read first. And then we gotta receive, we gotta be able to receive knowledge of what we're reading. So once we understand, there's another step of knowledge that is offered to us, and it's given to us. It's like an offering, a blessing, as we continue our works of study and our works of seeking more. Our faith have led us to a place and being, of being a person, entity, a place of being of faith, of a spiritual entity. For Christians, we know God, but our faith in works, our faith in what we're reading about Christianity, our faith in the spirit that comes to us to help and guide us, our faith in the acceptance of energy, positive and negative energy that heals and restores us, that enlightens our mind to a betterment and healthier life and lifestyle as a person. And it awakens it awakens us to a new being. And it's like right now the strength that I'm seeking and finding is there, but it's I'm seeing like year, this balance of years ago where you have this person that is trying to work the table as a friend enemy, an enemy of many, but a friend of many as well. You understand? So you have who they're playing with is, they don't want the. It's not something a game they will want to play themselves. They being smart like feet veins, Then how about if, you know, feet veins? So, but you got the one that's like, ooh, you know, they think so cute and beautiful or something, and they're really, shifting and maneuvering things. It's like literally, it takes away, it takes away from our focus and in a man when we see that, but it's a work in progress. I know the first time when I begin to close my eyes and meditate, I will see like what was going on in someone else's life. And it would disturb me because it was my first time, closing my eye. I call it a sea life. And, I discussed it with my husband at the time. I was like, okay, I see this right here going on. And then he explained certain events that was going on in the person's home. So I was able to refocus my energy and get back on track to where, I'm watching like streets of honey milk flowing and the streams and gold flowing, so it's like a better, I can enjoy it, that that type of moment where I'm using my energy to increase and better myself to. So, okay. And my daughter does it best. My daughter studies this religion called Yoruba. And Yoruba is an African religion that is Catholic and Christian and Catholic. So she invited me to study it, and they have priestesses and things like that. I was like, um, I study a little bit. At Peace Baptist, they have priestess and this other. They welcome to people that was at the meeting, like a book fest, a show of a vendor fest or something. So it was a vendor fair. The members and guests really enjoyed. I've been out for so long, like, a short period of time. I visited last year. It's really grown and continue to grow. But I started my, studying in school in the United States Interfaith. So we'll see how, right now I really need for it to prosper ministry and everything. And everybody's really going hard, they're really going hard. It's not playtime laughing. They laugh, it's like they're really going hard at it. They're really working with a purpose to get a structure of religion, a place of worship. They're out advocating for their loved ones that that they care about, and they they're advocating with a purpose and meaning. They are not, you know, like myself, I have someone missing. So I can advocate and get help in, like friends and everyone, not just for wedding and marriages. So, but they out in a place of worship and out advocating and fighting for meaning and purpose, because like in Israel, I saw just a little snippet of how so many people in their country are missing, due to their war. You have a lot of people that have gone that is not, they have missing and stuff. It's been going on for a while. So for the ones who made it, the ones who are going through right now, I pray for them. I don't know if because I wasn't ready when I started sitting down to talk and read the Buddha. And the book, the secret, is the sacred book of the sacred book of Buddhist, the sacred book of Buddhist. And so the sacred book of Buddhist, the sacred book of Buddhist is really an important book. A really important book. Yeah. So when I first, I was like, nah, I don't. I started live and then I ended it. So it can only get better with each one. I have my head covered a little bit, out of show of respect, but I think on the next one, as I continue to progress, I find a better setting and do my hair a little different, you know. Uh, so, but we are on still on the preface, so let's get past the preface. of learning about is actually early date in north of India, northwest India. And then again, the Kata Vatu, who, according to the views prevalent at the end of the 4th century AD at Karapura in South India and at the Anuradhapura in Ceylon, and recorded, therefore, in their commentaries by Dhammapala and Buddhagosa, was composed in the form in which we now have it by Tisa, the son of Moguls. In the middle of the 3rd century BC, at the court of Asoka at Fataliputra, the modern Pata in the north of India. So we said some pretty big words here. We have some pretty big words we said here, which is kata, Katha, and the A has a dialect over it, Vatu, which is Vatthu, and it's prevalent at the end of the 4th century, so 4000 AD. Then at is K accent mark, double A's. It looks like Kipura. So I'm quite sure it's K accent mark A was dialect in Kipura in South India. So now we have them in the South India, where the other like local it's a local citato is in the northwest India. Then you have Anuradhapura, Anura. It's a dialect, Dhapura, in Ceylon. And, Ceylon seems to be a country, but it takes studying, a true scholar, research and study, and recorded, therefore, in their commentaries by Dampa, Pala, and Buddha Agasa, was composed in the form in which we now have it by Tisa. And Tisa must be some type of method, but it says the son of Tisa by Tisa, which is the son of Moghots. So it's a male child in the middle of the 3rd century BC at the court of Asaka at Pataliputra, the modern Patna in the North India. And then it is a recognized rule of evidence in the courts of law that if an entry be found in the books kept by a man in the ordinary course of his trade, which entry speaks against himself, then that entry is especially worthy of credence. Now, at the time when they made this entry about Tisa authorship of the Katala Vuta, the commentaries believe, and it was an accepted tenet of those among whom they mixed, just as it was multidis among the theologians in Europe at the corresponding dates in history of their faith, that the whole of the canon was the word of the Buddha. They also held that it had been actually recited at the Council of Rahaga immediately after his decease. It is I venture to submit absolutely impossible under these circumstances that the commentators can have invented this information about Tisa and the Kata Vuta. They found it in the records on which their works are based. They dare not alter it. The best they could do was to try to explain it. And this they did by a story evidently legendary, attributing the first scheming out of the book to the Buddha. But they felt compelled to hand on, as they found it, the record of Tisa authorship, and this deserves on the ground that it is evidence against himself to have great weight attached to it. The text of the Kata Futa now lies before us in a scholarly edition prepared for the Fala Text Society by Mr. Arnold C. Taylor. It purports to be a refutation of Tisa, of 250 erroneous opinions held by Buddhists belonging to schools of thought different from his own. We have from other sources a considerable number of data as regards to different schools of thought among Buddhists, often erroneous called the 18 sects. We are beginning to know something that the historical development of Buddhism and to be familiar with what sort of questions are likely to have arisen. We are beginning to know something of the growth of the language of the different Fila styles. In all these respects, the Kata Vutu fits in with what we should expect as possible and probable in the time of Osaka and in the north of India. Now, the discussion that's carried on in the Kata Fatu are for the most part and on both sides an appeal to authority and to what authority, without any exceptions as yet discovered, to the Pitakas and, as we know, have them in Pafali. Thus, on page 339, the appeal is to the past and translated below on page 278, 16, and it is quite evident that the quotation is from our Sutanand and not from any other passage. And the Sultan is Suttanta. No other passages where the same words might occur in the very name of the Sultana, the Kavada. But a difference of reading found also in our MSS is given. The following are other instances of quotations. So they give this list of quotations to Kata Vatu, and then you have P 34, 33, the page number 3, and then they have a two, like chapter, verse, sentence, chapter, page number, chapter, then verse. There are many quotations from the older Pataka books in the Kata Vutu, about 3 or 4 times as many as are contained in this list. So before 1899, there's already some books, older Pataka books. So Pataka had books. Then they go on and books in the Kata Vutu, about 3 or 4 times as many contained in this list. But this is enough to show that at the time when the Kata Vatu was composed to all the five Nikayas was extinct and were considered to be final authorities in any question that was being discussed. They must themselves therefore be considerably older. Thirdly, thirdly, Hofrat, Butler and Dr. Holzer called attention to the fact that the inscription of the 3rd century BC, we find an inscription of donors to the Dagabas. The expressions Damahar, Kartika, Patika, Sutika, Sutatikina, and Pana Panka Ika, the Dahama, the Patakas, the Sutakanas, and the five Nikyas must have existed for some time before the brothers and sisters could be described as preachers of the Dahama, as reciters of the Pitaka, and as guardian of the Sutantas or of the Nikas, which were not yet written and were only kept alive in the memory of living men and women. Simply as they seem, the exact force of these technical designations is not as yet determined. Knowing the Pitakas, but knowing the Pitaka, that is the Nikas, like Nika, you know, Russian Nico, Nikas, a single Pitaka in the sense of the Dahama having, he was Russian mob, man, and my children. Look at him. A single Pitaka in the sense of the Dahama having been known before. Russian behind him, a bad Russian guy behind him, bad Russian guy behind him. As he points out, the title of the old word Pitaka, Pitako, Padisa, which is an exposition not of the three Pitakas, Pitakas, but only of the Nikais, supports his view. So again, the dialogues are the only parts or passages of the canonical books called in our MS as suttas. Was then a sutantika, one who knew precisely the dialogues by heart. This was no doubt the earliest use of the term, but it should be recollected that the kata vatu of about the same date uses the word sutanta also for passages from other parts of the scriptures. However, this may be the terms or conclusive proof of the existence some considerable time before the date of the inspiration of a Buddhist literature called either a Pitaka or the Pitakas, containing suttas as divided into five nikyas. Fortunately, on Asako's Bihabra edict, edict, he recommends to the communities of the brethren and sisters of the older order and to the lay disciples of either sex frequently to hear and to meditate upon seven selected passages. These are as follows: Vinaya, Samukumas, Arya, Vasani, from the Diha, Samati, Sutama, Adigata, Bihayani, from the Aga, Aku, Tara, the dead, 105 through 108. Nu, Nigahata, from the Sutta Nipata. And at the bottom of the preface, they have the locations of the country India where it was located. They have written that Gautama, and then of course the two P's, the Greek letter X, the Greek letter comma, the Greek letter X, I, and the dot. So like after the P's, and then on the before the one we just read before that, FGR dot India IND. So the preface continues. They have the dialogues of the Buddha, Maniya Sutta from the Iti Mutaka 67 through 80. So you have Muni Tata from the Iti Mutaka. So, and then you have Utisi Pasini, yeah, Rahu Lavadu, Rahu Lavadu Sutata. Of these passages, NLS 1 and 6 have not yet been satisfactorily identified. The others may be regarded as certain for the reasons I have said out elsewhere. Number 2 also occurs in the 10th book of the Anguttara Tara, Angu- Anguttara. It is clear that in Asoka's time there was acknowledged to be an authoritative literature, probably a collection of books containing what was then believed to be the words of the Buddha, and that is comprised passage already known by the titles given in his ethic, edict. Edict. 5 out of 7 having been found in the published portion. So, yeah. So it continues. It gives the poems must therefore be older and older in the present arrangement than the final settlement of the text of these two Nikas. Nikas. But it says after the Buddha's death, one sutta in the Anguttara is based on the death of the wife of Munda, king of Magda, who began to reign about 40 years after the death of the Buddha. There is no reason at all to suspect as interpolation. It follows that not only the Sultan itself, but the date of the compilation of the Anguttara must be adequate in that event. So, no one is here, but I'll say hello. Yeah. So I still have my head covered. It's really I remember um, watching this show, and I remember watching this show, and it's important that as students, I guess maybe I should record it as students, learning religion, to have posty cards where we can read and remember. It's good to have video logs of our learning quest, our learning journey, our time and how we learn about certain about religion, our vacation, certain activities, things we're doing, places we're visiting. So outside is a great place. They have plenty sunlight and stuff like that. So, you know, in acting school, they said to use plenty good lighting. This lighting seems still not bright enough. It really is not bright enough. So, well, we read a lot of the preface. I read it all like a few days ago. I read it all a few days ago, and India is definitely different than China, but it's still, I have to remember it says Chinese translation. It has this Chinese translation. Yeah, the Buddha he looks like. I always take the Buddha to be an Asian descent. It says, I am afraid. Be considered that my choice in these respects has not been happening, especially that too many words or phrases have been left without comment, where reasons were necessary. I but I have endeavored in the notes and introductions to emphasize those points on which further elucidate is desirable, and to raise some of the most important of those historical questions which will have to be settled before these sutras can finally be considered as having been rightly understood. And I remember growing up, my grandfather and I were highly educated in religion and English literature. And so my grandfather, you know, they would call each other and talk about the new, who's traveling new to visit the Buddha, different places, You used to could, they had stopped it where the public could visit Buddha. You couldn't get into him, and he wasn't visiting anybody. They knew he existed. It is sacred. It wasn't, and then uh, there was a time, there was a time where you had the arguments, you had the arguments of, of the people between China and the other Buddha people. So they have something that's sacred and important in China. And it's just a religion the group was in. But it's been so long. I mean, like several, many years ago. Many years. Something to research for me and study on again. Because, like, it's interesting to remember things of sorts that happen in studying our faith, studying the religion, history. I read about one country, they had just became religious in 1974, and they're like this African American looking group of people, but they're not African American. They're not African American. And so they in 1974, just nearly 50 years ago now, they accepted religion into their life, Christianity. So as a group of people, not one individual who's traveled, who became more acknowledged, smart on religion and different things of that sort. So, so those words were written in 1899 by, it says, not Linda, April 1899. So I don't know what date that is, what date of the month it is. T.W. Rise Davids. The last name is Carmen Davids. American last name. Then you have Buddhist canonical books, list their names and other books. We have a list of their names. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 Buddhist canonical books. Then you have, okay, so introduction to the Brahmagala, the phase of beliefs which this Utatana is intended to meet and to which its argument fits has been set out in some detail in the opening chapter of my American literatures. As there's point out, the discussion which thus opened the series of dialogues formed also the first question in the kata virtue in the first question in the Melinda. We cannot be far wrong if in our endeavor we understand in real meaning questions, as did the author or authors of these ancient and authoritative Buddhist books. Then they go on and discuss the moralities, putting away the killing of living things. Gautama, the recluse, holds aloof from destruction of life. He has laid the gullet and the sword aside, and ashamed of roughness, and full of mercy, he dwelleth in compassion and kind to all creatures that have life. Then it goes on and talked about the Nooch dance or the Notch dance, the N-A-U-T-C-H dances, and singing of songs, the Nakam, the guitar and the Nakam instrumental music by Deaton chose as fairs, Peakham. So, yeah. So there will be fallen meteors, there will be a jungle fire, there will be an earthquake, the God with thunder. There will be, or you might say, wherever recluses and browns who are living on food provided by the faithful, earn a living by wrong means a livelihood by low arts such as these, foretelling an abundant rainfall, foretelling deficient rainfall, foretelling a good harvest, foretelling sacred food, foretelling tranquility, foretelling disturbance, foretelling a breath silence, foretelling a healthy season, counting on the fingers. So you have the eternalists. And about what with reference to what do those verbal one do. So on page 30, the first portion of recitation ends. Then you go into the eternalist and non-eternalist, chapter 2. So until the next time we meet, I think this is enough for me. Remember to meditate and pray.